morning, everyone. I'm here with James Overbeck. James, give me a bit of a breakdown on your practice day yesterday and your qualifying in P2.
Yeah, it was a pretty solid day yesterday. Had a good run there in qualifying at the end. I feel like we had a little bit more speed in it. I feel like I could have maybe gotten pole. I caught up some traffic towards the end of the session. Never really got a fully clean lap after. But no, I feel good about it today. I think I have Jared in all my heat races, which I think will be good. Starts right behind me, so hopefully we can work together and maybe hopefully get gone.
So you're planning on working with Jared. Tell me a little bit about your starting strategy. What are your thoughts going into these 3 heats today?
Just keep it in the top 5. Don't do nothing crazy. Don't need to take any risks. Just need to finish. I think just somewhere in the top 5, and then be starting. And honestly, anywhere in the top 10 for tomorrow's final, I think will be a good spot to be.
Do you have anything specifically on tires? We've got a lot of laps to get in here today, and with some rain. What are you thinking about tire management?
Yeah, it's definitely going to be important today, at least through the heat races, to not really cook your tires. 3 heat races is a lot here, and tires wear down fast, because of how high speed the track is. But no, hopefully it won't be that big of a problem. And by the time we get to tomorrow, we'll have new tires, so I think we'll be ready to go.
Awesome. Thank you, James.
Thank you.
Good morning, everyone, and welcome again to the Carolina Grand Prix for the U.S. Pro Kart Series, second round of 4 in 2025. My name's Andrew Clements, and alongside me here after a lengthy travel day, Henry Beaudet, joining us here in the booth for a full 2 days of action. Warm-ups underway. Qualifying commenced yesterday afternoon for a 50-plus driver KA100 Senior Grid presented by Brandon Jarsicrack Racing. Henry, pleasure to have you back with us again.
Well, thank you very much, Xander. It's a great pleasure to be back with the whole Kart Chaser team, and a big thank you to the US Pro Kart Series. Hopefully, it'll be I'll be here for the rest of the 2025 season. It's my first trip to the Trackhouse Motorplex, and I've got to say, hugely impressed with the facility here. Like I said, it was a long day of travel yesterday, but it's all worth it. I've eaten spicy cheese and questionably processed meat at 8 o'clock this morning for breakfast, so I'm living the dream. Woke up overlooking Lake Norman, but more importantly, the paddock here has been very, very impressive. I mean, looking at the entry list, over 50 drivers in this class, stacked fields up and down the order here in North Carolina. This is my first Carolina. Can I say Grand Prix or can I just say Grand Prix?
However you like. At the end of the day, Mark Coates, he texted me, Henry, of course, as you know, at the beginning of the year, and he said, man, get me that loony British guy as much as you can for 2025. And here you are with us. Happy to have you with us, and happy most of all to get the day started with a dry racetrack.
Yes.
We've had the looming weather kind of be a bit of a factor on everyone's minds this weekend. There was definitely a little bit of overnight showers, but nothing too much. It's still slick tires and a very hot week that has led into what should be a little bit cooler temps today and potentially even a little bit cooler tomorrow by about 5 or 10 degrees. So the racing on track, though, that'll keep things heated up for sure, as we're watching one of Kart Chaser's own, Emery Lida, making his way around the racetrack right now in the infield for the first of 2 groups in KA100 Senior. You heard from Haley Donaldson earlier. She and Caleb Vieska will be getting us all the intel down on pit lane. We'll send it on down to them. Good morning.
Good morning to you, Xander. Good morning to Henry as well. And good morning to Jared Clark standing by here with me. You have had, I think, a crazy last month. You're back at home, fresh off of your maiden national race victory. How are you feeling, coming into your home race this weekend?
I'm feeling pretty good. I have pretty high expectations, but, I can't fulfill everything that I did, last race. But, I'm pretty happy with how I did yesterday, and I'm pretty confident I'm going to do good. So, weekend's going well for me.
Yeah, you and James are obviously up there close to the front. You have that pressure off you now with that first national race victory. How are you approaching this weekend?
I'm just going to come out as best I can. Since last race, I'm going to have a lot of expectations from everybody to do as good or better as last, but it's kind of hard to beat what I did last time. So I'm just going to try my best and, do what I do. So, I think it'll be a pretty good weekend.
Best of luck, Jared.
Thank you.
Thank you, Caleb. Once again, that was Jared Clark, driver for Brandon Jarsicrack Racing. He's looking for, hopefully, as he mentioned, a continuation of the momentum and the wave that he started just a couple of weeks ago. The Stars Championship Series led the U.S. National Tour to North Carolina to the Charlotte Motor Speedway, and that kid, well, it's one thing to get your first podium or your first win. He did both of those, as well as his first career weekend sweep. He was dominant, to say the least. Qualified on the pole, won both of the heat races, won the pre-final, albeit through a bit of a battle. And in the main event, well, your fellow countryman, another man from across the pond, Oliver Hodgson, was there. Granted, an adopted American at this point. Gave him everything he could ask for and more, but there was nothing the entire KA field there could do to keep him back. However, he's got to deal with a lot of hometown locals that are fast at Trackhouse Motorplex. One of them, on screen, Caleb Gaffera and Hotes Driver Development. They took the pole in yesterday's quali session. He just pipped himself up to second, about 7 thousandths off Speed Concepts Racing's Brandon Lemke.
And yeah, this is obviously now we're into the main body of the season. Somebody who's watching Kart Chasers coverage by and large from across the pond. At the start of the season, with drivers moving teams, moving classes, moving up the divisions in the age group sensitive classes, you're always looking for a couple of breakout stars and now we're into the sort of the main body of the season. We've had, the first round of each main sort of series over here in the United States. The pecking order, as it were, in the general classes is starting to emerge. And what is one thing that I can say, each time I come over here, because the last time I was over here was in February in Phoenix, and obviously I was in Orlando as well. The teams, it's not just one or two teams with like 20 drivers. There's now 4 or 5 teams with huge awnings, new teams appearing. You can see there on the, on the ticker that it's not just the familiar names and faces. The sign of the growth in the sport over here in the US is significant. And Brandon Lemke, that Speed Concepts racing kart, Speed Concepts. Again, I walked into the awning at about 8 o'clock this morning. I was still walking through the awning at about 8:15 this morning. There's a lot of drivers in there as the checkered flag waves. But like I said, Lemke Kafara, and one of those drivers that we spoke about a lot last year, moving up now, Sebastian Garzon, first year senior driver. Connor Ferris, the Team Ferris Racing team. And again, there's a new, by and large, I know they've been around for a while, but at this level, national level, Team Ferris Racing, that blue logo there, 5th and 6th places in this warm-up session. That's a good sign. James Overbeck, who was last year's winner of the viral moment of the year. Well, maybe Mateus Morgado and Marcus Kayak would have something to say about that, but the 360, the 360 at Orlando, James Overbeck in 7th. Kart Chase's own Emery Lyder, P8. Ryan Perry Motorsport, again, a huge awning for Ryan Perry's team.
Yeah.
As well as, you've got other names there, Apex Racing, that's a new name. Now, there's the TB Kart, Autumn Fisher, top 15. Now, that's a new TB Kart, but there's a Pinnacle Motorsport team.
Out of the Pacific Northwest.
Yeah,
yes.
Damon Shushnik or something like that. He was telling me this morning, where he's sort of like the TB Kart.
Okay, yes. So Damon will be running, the TB Kart USA program, and then as well, I believe Trevor Maxwell, if that's correct. Or Trevor Allen, Trevor Allen also in the Pacific Northwest. I mixed those up. But yes,
that's great.
Damon will be taking over. It's basically just kind of continuing the growth that he has had with that with the Fisher family and with the Pettits last year. Those two have kind of run as independents, hiring Damon, hiring the likes of Martin Pierce, a renowned driver coach, to help develop their drivers. And in talking with TB Kart USA's Kyle Uchinsky, he said, Damon, he had been waiting on it because he knew there was the opportunity there to really take that next step and really lead a program and launch his own for quite some time. And finally, he got the approval from the wife. The family said, you know what, it's your dream, go for it. And this weekend, it's a soft launch, but of course, we'll see probably a lot more of him and hopefully a healthy awning for Green Machines as the summer drags on with a number of events. And you can see here, Paulie Massimino, he's ready for the summer stretch. New suit, new helmet, and debuting it on home soil at a racetrack that he has had some fantastic memories at over the years.
And one of those memories, I think, was engraved in the top of his crash helmet there, that nice graphic. I'm not quite sure what it was. It was obviously him in a victory embrace with somebody, which is good to see. But again, we've got 50 plus in this class, in the KA senior class. They're all trying to beat the 49.729. One thing that, so we've got audience here, obviously the main Kart Chaser, the Kart Chaser universe, which is expanding all the time. I know there's a lot of people focused from the UK watching this weekend. It's an off weekend in the UK for all the major national championships over there, with Gus Lawrence and Caden McQueen and Levi Sanghera in action in X30 Pro. There's an awful lot of UK viewers watching this. 3 heat races in a single day. That's unique in the United States.
Yes.
It's a lot of racing. Is that going to favour some of the more experienced drivers a bit more, do you think?
Well, I think the drivers that have run through this format last year, because this was the format that they moved over to in 2024. I believe they may have actually moved to it in 23, but I cannot recall correctly. But I know it's been in place for a little bit. And running all 3 heat races, it's a bunch of short sprints and then a lengthy main. And so you really don't get a good read on your kart setup and your long run speed, unless you're looking for that last lap or last couple of laps of where your speed lies, and if you believe that it's just going to continue from there, because the heats are basically half the distance of the main events, to attack the heats is a totally different strategy than how to attack a lengthy main event race. You can't make up for miscues. You can't make up for mistakes. And in a class like KA Senior, where we know more times than not it's a pack fight, you can't afford to get shuffled too far back down the leaderboard because you don't have enough time to climb your way back up the pylon.
And, of course, the grid positions for all 3 heat races were set in time qualifying yesterday. Thinking back to when I used to race, you'd have 3 heats and a final in the single day, but the heat races, the grids would be drawn at random. You'd have one front start, one back start, and one start somewhere in the middle. So yesterday's time qualifying session takes on extra importance because that's your entire day effectively dictated by one session yesterday. Now there's a drive we're looking at on screen, the red and white Birrell ART of number 9. That's Finnegan Bailiff, who I was after the recent,
Actually, Finnegan will be in the pro class. This will be Gavin.
Gavin Bailiff.
Gavin Bailiff, former now not former, still recent SCUSA Pro Tour race winner. And in this in the US Pro Kart Series, no gearbox division, so he's jumped over to the 100cc package for KA Senior, while Finn has moved up to the pro category.
Yeah, I was having a chat with Gavin. I do apologise this morning. I went in, just stuck my head in the TKG awning just to make sure that Sean and the family didn't want to lynch me on site. But a lot of good fun in recent weeks talking about the bailiffs and him getting his first National Series win recently. But the REM karts, again, they new graphics kit to me. This they were. Last time I saw them was in Phoenix in February, looking very smart. The whole paddock, really, I'm continually impressed. And, of course, this layout here as well, really good indeed. Interesting, what I've seen on this circuit from Kart Chasers coverage over the years, track limits are, there's an awful lot of...
that's a bit new, right? Gus Lawrence mentioned that a little bit. We were getting to meet him earlier this week, yes. Yeah,
the grey bits of asphalt are generally just used as a rough guideline in some categories here as well. We'll talk about Gus in a little bit. His American debut this weekend, asking me about what he could expect, and I just said, look, it's a lot of fun. There are times that it gets a little bit wild and woolly, but hey, that's part of it. It's part of the excitement and it's part of the show. And we're looking at the second group now. That's Eli Warren.
So the only quickest one out of this group so far has been Drew James on that Chad Dawkin Racing Kart Republic, local North Carolina native as well. He's one of those drivers that's kind of been teeter-tottering on being able to put together a full national season. It's been a lot of one-off opportunities in a lot of different homes, and he seems to have really taken a liking to the Kart Republic chassis. Last year was racing with Trinity Karting Group. They, of course, made the swap to become the Birrell Art USA factory team, and so that left him looking for a new home. He's found it with Chad Dawkin for this weekend, he's right now third quickest out of this group, or third overall, and quick from this group. The rest of the drivers from this group are starting to populate towards the top. Eli Warren, of course, jumped up there. Steven Eisert, that lap around, has moved up into the 5th spot on the Speed Sense machine. There's Blake Nash and Oliver Marak going down through turns number 4 and over to 5 and 6. They are a little further back in 18th for Blake Nash, and Marak a little further even down the leaderboard right now. He's 39th, struggling a bit in this warm-up session. But behind him, one driver who was very quick, senior rookie Enzo Vidmontien. His first weekend with an opportunity at double-duty action on the regular season. I believe he got to do it at one of the 2 Winter Series, racing both Pro X30 and KA Senior. He was second in happy hour in Pro X30 yesterday afternoon. Struggled a bit in qualifying, fell back, ended up in 10th. In KA Senior, well, again, throw them all in a blender, mix them up, and then do it again about every session for the best lap time. For now, he sits 16th, but only 0.3 off.
Yeah, looking at Blake Nash there, saw Blake earlier this year, and of course he spent a lot of 2024 racing over in Europe, the FIA series. He said even though the results weren't what he wanted, he learnt so much about himself as a driver during that thing. It was a hard year for him, third generation kart racer, but he said he comes back to the US this year a much more rounded driver. He said a much more rounded individual as well. He understands the level of work that needs to be put in to be a success, not just in his home country, but in this sport as a whole. It was really good to speak to Blake. It was really good to hear a driver being very sort of self-analytical as well, saying that, okay, do you know what? The reason that I didn't go as well in Europe was maybe a little bit down to me as much as other things. And
I think that's, one
really
of the
smart.
best things out of that experience for him going and racing with the Tony Kart factory team, right?
Yeah.
The Vortex engines have not been the dominant engine in the OK categories. The IAME power has been really good over there. The TM's been decent. So if he would have gone over and raced, say, with the Kart Republic factory team, he might have been able to run a little better, and some of maybe the mistakes or the extra length that he went to work on himself to perform, it would have been masked, it would have been hidden, right? But instead, going where maybe you don't have the dominant piece, and that's just a factor of multi-make open racing, pushes you to look at, and say, what are the tools that I do have in my toolbox? What can I sharpen in my toolbox and make it better? And without a doubt, putting in the work, developing yourself, and learning as much as you can. The best drivers have a very open mind to everything. You talk to some of the ones that have been able to stay at the front for a long time. Ryan Norberg, Austin Garrison, Joe Turney, of course, have been the three veterans that we know of that have been racing single-speed senior division karts for a long time. And every year you talk to them, they're like, every year's new, everything changes. There's a lot that carries over, but more than anything, it's the process, the way that you approach every weekend and every year. That's what you refine. You can only carry over so much. And, talk about new things for the year. How about Lawrence Perriman's basketball lid there? That you can even see the little divots on the ball. Of course, inspired by Lando Norris, his favorite Formula One driver. And Lawrence Perriman, he has been very gracious, along with Marco Salmon and Paulie Massimino and Chase Gassi at lead. That started with some of the outreach programs that we were able to launch. Going to the elementary school for the entire Cabarrus County District a month ago in lead up to the Stars Series on Thursday evening. They had their official STEM family night. There was over 500 families that attended, and they were great ambassadors for our sport.
Absolutely.
And hopefully we get to have more and more of our young superstars, young and old, telling the story of what karting is and putting us in front of more is, unfortunately, that's part of it. A little bit of a woe sometimes in the morning with a slick racetrack at Turn 3. We've got 3 of them. Let's see if we can pick them out. One's going to be one of the Orsolon Racing Kart Republics, one of the Velocity Sodis.
He's obviously not too happy there. Let's have a look. Is that it's got number 8 on it? But as you would, that's a great thing. That outreach, and all credit to those drivers and their families. It's one good thing for the dads to go and to there, but for a young driver to go and stand up in front of their peers in school and sort of talk about their sport, talk about their, and use it as an educational tool. That's excellent. I've got to say, well done. And Lawrence Perriman's crash helmet, that's designed by Miles Murphy, MDM Designs. He does Orlando Norris's crash helmets in the United Kingdom. And, of course, he is the crash helmet designer of a certain Kimi Antonelli, who now, is Kimi Antonelli the first driver to go from the back to the front of a SCUSA Winter Series race at Homestead and then take a Formula One pole position as well? I think he might be. I think that the US karting scene has got another claim to fame. One other thing is that 2 weeks ago, Zev and Wynne Gottschalk came over to the United Kingdom to race at Warden Law, the track owned by Kai Hunter's family, in the opening round of the British Championship. And Wynne in the Water Swift class, he was good. He was top 12. Zev Gottschalk in Water Swift Restricted, which is kind of the UK's version of Micro Swift, was on the podium.
Wow.
Got a podium finish on his UK karting debut. And of course, for a long time, the British Domestic Championship has been seen as a bit of a benchmark for the aggression levels, the quality of racing. The fact that Zev can turn up and get on the podium speaks volumes for how much better the US domestic karting scene is getting. He becomes the first, even though he's from Curaçao, he was racing under a US license, and he becomes the first US driver to finish on the podium in the UK since Santino Ferrucci back in about 2010 when he came over and raced for Fusion. So an incredible achievement, shows that, you know, for a long time, and we're still seeing it, you know, we're getting, you know, studs from the UK, from Europe, from South America coming in to the US karting scene. Now, America is sending their top drivers over to other domestic championships, and you look how Josh Bergman is doing over in WSK, and a few other drivers, Lucas Palacio. Yeah, and it's all a credit to what goes on at these events. You know, the amount of action, the amount of competitiveness we see.
Speaking of going across, Zane Burgess is another one as well, of course, that has started to really begin his European campaign this year. He has had a couple of fantastic runs across the pond in some of the international events as well. He's been fun to watch here stateside. He had a new home starting at the SCUSA Pro Tour in Houston with Speed Concepts Racing.
Yep.
And they have continued what was a probably unexpected partnership with Sarah Bradley. She just needed a spare frame when she had a massive crash last summer, and Sodi USA had one. They said, here you go, try it out. She liked it. She stayed on it all year, and that began the relationship that now has blossomed into Zane joining over to the black and red and white crew, and they've now got a couple of black frame and orange kits under the tent.
And one thing that, so when Zane goes on, I'm very fortunate enough to have worked and trained and helped to guide the careers of the commentators over at the FIA Karting Championship. So Anthony Jordan, the lead commentator, and also Nicole Sutherland, ex-racing driver, now working as a co-commentator and pit reporter. And she came up to me and goes, "Oh my God, Zane Burgess is my favorite ever driver. What an amazing kid in terms of his personality." So Zane is making friends, and he's gaining supporters off the track in Europe, as well as what he's doing on the track as well. You know, Zane, if you know Nicole Sutherland, she's a very, very successful, skilled young lady in this sport. Zane knew it. Zane understood the assignment. He went up to her and give her a big hug. You know, and if you're going to walk up to any young blonde 21-year-old female and give her a big hug in this sport, then Zane's got it right. Zane's got it right.
There's a lot of drivers in this mini field as well as the micro field that come from legacy racing families. You can see a few of them that have already gotten into the top 10. Cade Wolf, son of former NASCAR Cup Series crew chief Paul Wolf, into the top 10. He's had some great runs this year already. Parker Ives on screen. He has been on his way to making a name for himself already. A dominant year in the micro categories along with it. A great start to his mini campaign last year with a couple of wins. This year, it's time to go out and go trophy hunting, and, he's got his teammates that have started to pick up the pace as well. Jaden Francisco got his first U.S. national win. The Canadian sits on top of the pylon right now. Santi Orioli, Maxwell Macha up there. So a lot of kids that have been spending for the better half of the last 2 to 3 seasons racing against one another find themselves all against each other again, but with a few names that are maybe asserting themselves inside that top 10 you may be less familiar with.
Yeah, the number 133 Kart. That's a new name. That's Nicholas Mose. Mose. Yeah, Nicholas Mose. But again, it's one of the things. There's Colton Schniegenberg in the 9th position, the Go Win Races driver. But it's all the case of the development of drivers. You know, new drivers that first year in the class, you know, mid-pack at best. They learn, they put the work in over the winters. They grow physically and mentally, and they come out and they guide their way up the order. A name that is going to be very familiar, Maxwell Macha, still there, ever present in the Velocity Racing Silky Kart USA team. Maxwell was speaking to me this morning, talking about nicknames. He said he wants his own nickname, and I said, well, you know, if you're a certain age, you'll remember the Macho Man Randy Savage out of WWF Wrestling. I was like, why not the Macho Man? He went, nah, I don't like that. How about if I win, can you call me Maxwell Verstappen? So there's some motivation for young Max Matcher. Obviously looking to build an own little identity. Yeah, Maxwell Verstappen, I wonder if it'll catch on. There could be a Dutchman that has something to say about that if he's listening, which I know he is, obviously. Everyone is. We're all watching here. So it is the number 136 Holden Myers, the Timmy Tech driver on the Comp Kart chassis, who leads the Mini Swift warm-up session. 31 drivers in Mini Swift, 31 drivers in the next category, X30 Junior. And we've got nearly 250 entries across the board this weekend. There's Ashton Woon. And Ashton, he hasn't got those sort of Japanese pink blossoms on the back of his crash helmet, because that was to decipher new beginnings in his culture. That's when he was moving teams, moving classes. Now he's an established veteran in the class. We don't need the pink blossoms anymore because it's not new beginnings. There is
John Antonino, who had talk about a roller coaster of a day here the last time he was in this state 3 weeks ago. Has a fantastic drive in OKN Junior, drives through the field to the win in front of a roaring crowd at Charlotte Motor Speedway, only to have a pushback bumper penalty knock him off the top step. But that drive was undeniable. It was viewed by thousands around the world, tens of thousands that saw the moment as well. And the Kart Republic family is very happy to have him this year for what should be a very busy schedule. He's still too young to be able to run OK Junior across the pond. They're trying to get him as much testing as possible for what could be a very big campaign. He's another highly scouted talent coming up the ranks. And, that kid, I think he's all right. Henry, what do you think? Harley Keeble, he seems to have gotten the eye of one or two, maybe.
Yeah,
I don't know.
Harley Keeble overlooking William Vita, the Lionsville from Zionsville. Harley spoke to Jay Howard, who will be here on Sunday earlier this week. William Vita, again, a driver so successful at the start of this year. Looking back to Orlando for at the Rotax event, there has overcome a bit of adversity. But again, under the guidance of Harley Keeble, there's Sarah Bradley. Possibly, like you said, responsible for the signing of St. Burgess in the Speed Concepts team. It's amazing what an unintended piece of generosity like that. We've got a driver that is out of action because their kart is in a million pieces. Hey, let's give him a frame. Ethan Skyman-Jenchik has overcome. He was injured earlier this year. He had a nasty accident. Ethan Sky.
Indeed, yeah.
He's got the Union flag on his car. His mum's from Sunderland, up in the northwest.
Yeah, Ethan had a scary moment twice over this year. First, a moment in Orlando, and then again in Daytona. It took him out of the SCUSA Pro Tour opener. It took him out of the Stars opener, but he was able to at least get back here this weekend, his first weekend, back behind the wheel, hoping for some better voodoo for sure.
Yeah, indeed. And, of course, believe it or not, Sunderland, the town or the city that Ethan's mum is from, Sunderland can be blamed or thanked for the phenomenon that is Welcome to Wrexham in the USA. So the football club that is owned by Ryan Reynolds and Rob McElhenney. During COVID, there's a Netflix documentary called Sunderland Till I Die about the football team at Sunderland. And during COVID, that is the program that someone said to Ryan Reynolds, or Rob McElhenney, you should watch Sunderland Till I Die. And he thought, oh, look at that, that's a really passionate, they're really passionate about their football team. I wonder if maybe we could invest in a football team with a similar ties to community. And thus, Welcome to Wrexham was born. So it's all down to Ethan Skyman-Jenchik's mum, in a way, sort of, ish. 31 X30 Juniors on circuit right now. The track, which was, I would say, green this morning, a little bit of overnight rain. It was, not wet, but it was certainly green this morning. You could see the MG rubber now slowly being laid down on the circuit. Do these tyres give much in the way of marble. You can see a few marbles.
It does, a good bit. But huge kudos to the Trackhouse Motorplex on-site team and the track crew. They've done a great job of doing everything they can to keep this facility clean and keep the racing line clean. They have a standard protocol. This is a very busy venue compared to some of the other places that we may visit throughout the year. I mean, this track has, probably anywhere in the number of 10,000 to 50,000 laps on it per day between owner and rental carts. They know exactly how to hold a race. Their club races average between 150 and 200 entries on the regular. It's the base camp of a number of teams that are here this weekend. Part of the reason why you're seeing so many under the awning of Brandon Jarsikrak Racing, Ryan Perry Motorsport, Timmy Tech. The list goes on of teams that call Trackhouse Motorplex HQ. And they are here supporting the club. Some are transplants from out of town that have followed, and numbers breed numbers.
Yes.
That's attracted more, but more than anything else, this crew, they know how to run a big event. It has hosted the U.S. Pro Kart Series since its debut season. It was the site of its very first event in 2013. It has held a round of the championship every single year of this program's 13 or 12-year history. It'd be 13-year history here in 2025.
And I like that because I love that sort of sense of loyalty, sense of history, and almost like if you win a USPKS event at Trackhouse, that's almost like doubling a double win anywhere else. It's the home, the effective home of this series, and that's where, it doesn't matter what the regular season entry is like. The big guns come out for this event to race here at USPKS at Trackhouse. Really strong, I would say, X30 Junior grid. 31 drivers. Looking down there, Lucas Palacio. What a story Lucas has had. Ashton Moon, Alex Vanchev, John Antonino. Interesting what you say, Xander, about John not being old enough to run OK Junior, because I remember back to Las Vegas Supernats last year, Antonino was so impressive then.
Yes.
As in terms of his intelligence, his smarts, his racing brain, and then to find out now a few that as we go split screen here, looking at the start-finish straight on the main. The main thing. Now,
this was back from some of the highlights from Daytona.
Yeah,
so
I was going to say,
indeed, John Antonino was impressive there. But there were two drivers that were really impressive in KA Junior and one really above the rest of them, and that was Teo Salamau. He was phenomenal in the heat races to that point. Alexander Vanchev, of course, had been kind of the titular combatant through the junior ranks in the winter season, and in fact, in the KA Junior races especially, he was taking the fight to him. X30 Junior, KA Junior, it didn't matter. But Teo Salamau and Orsolon Racing, who they were pitted right next to us, we could hear 25, 30 plus in the cheering section, and they were thrilled. You could see there was nobody in sight by the end of the main event. Teo was incredible. Earlier this year at the Winter Series, he got his first career pole award in the junior ranks on the national scene in the U.S. Since then, Daytona was, I think, another step up, a huge leap forward for Teo and for Orsolon Racing's X30 program, because they haven't really had superstars in the 125 ranks consistently for a little time now. They've been most notably developing a lot of talent in micro and mini. Of course, Fabio's a longtime racer. He's got a lot of friends that love to come back and run Masters. They'll have a lot of green and black go-karts in KA100 Masters coming up next. But moving up with the likes of Sebastian Garzone kind of spearheading a senior effort again. He's eyeing up some X30 Pro division races this year alongside what is a budding USF Pro Championships career. And Garzone, of course, one of many that are still searching for funding to try and climb just through the USF Juniors rank. It would be huge for him to be able to secure that. I think that's one kid that could go very far with the right backing. But, of course, there's plenty with a similar story. Teo Salamau might be another one, although right now he is not the headliner in warm-up. That honor goes to young Lucas Palacio, who made history as the youngest ever Superkarts USA winner at the Winter Series in the junior ranks by just a couple of months over Brent Cruz, who, well, the American NASCAR crowd, they're going to learn that kid's name if they haven't already. This year, already an ARCA Menard Series winner, a Trans Am Series champion, and the list goes on of accolades in karting before he advanced onwards. And Lucas Palacio, under the help and guidance of Eric Jones, Kart Republic, North America, just like John Antonino, they've got kind of two Americans that Kart Republic, through the guidance of all of their U.S. Industry members, have said, hey, these two kids, they got something special. Lucas Palacio, without a doubt, does, and John Antonino Jr., as you mentioned at Supernats, he turned some heads there as well. Both of them, at the end of this session, end up okay. Top of the pylon for Palacio, Tristan Murphy, great run there for him. Vanchev, Weiland, Jose Halfin, your top 10 in X30 Junior Warmup as we continue here through the morning. Let's head down to pit lane. Caleb Vieska, once again, good morning to you, buddy, and take it away.
Good morning to you, Xander, as well. I want to talk about some of the cool things that are new with USPKS here for round number 2. Obviously, the prizes are higher this weekend for X30 Pro. We have the new track camera systems. And check this out. The winner banners from Daytona International Speedway. And yesterday they had a competition, Grid to Graham. A bunch of kids were able to come up here, take pictures with these winning banners, as well as whoever had the best caption, best picture, was going to get a free Micron 6 courtesy of USPKS. And they're doing it right here this year, so that's exciting to see.
Giving back. That's what 2025 is all about. If you talk to Mark Coates in the U.S. Pro Kart Series, they want to really pay tribute and try to give thanks to all those who have supported their series over the years. It's another 200, and I believe plus or minus 50, 250 roughly entry count, right? Maybe around the 240, 235 marker. It's a huge turnout once again here in Trackhouse.
I counted 248. 248 on the
there you
entry
go.
this morning. So
now, I don't know if you can trust Henry's counting, folks, for those watching along at home.
Well, I mean, but also...
We just got him to learn WhatsApp here this year.
Yeah, I know. But I wanted to say hi to Caleb Vieska, the only person here in the paddock who spent longer on an airplane yesterday than I did. The only problem is I was coming from Wales and Caleb was coming from Houston. If you are in the paddock and you want to talk about travel nightmares, go and have a chat with Caleb and he will tell you all about it. So we go from the juniors to the masters. Smallest grid, only 17 of them, but I think that there's such a valuable part of the paddock. You know, if you know, karting is getting younger and younger, although, in the USA, it's almost a bit of an anomaly with the average age in Pro Shifter and some of the X30 Pro drivers. But then eventually, when you want to just do this sport for fun, but at a competitive level, race at a national level, but do it for fun, hey, half a dozen times a year around family, work, business commitments, you need the Masters division. It's very, very important, I believe, to every paddock. And Orsalon Racing, they seem to have cornered the market ever so slightly. But you said the team boss has got an awful lot of buddies back from his karting days that he persuaded, hey, come on, let's just come and hang out for the weekend, go racing, and here we go. But one of the drivers that you spoke to on, or not you, Xander, but I think Casey Grid Talk, earlier this week, Dusty Davis. Some great stories as well. Mundi Loya racing for the Nash Motorsport team, the Peruvian driver. His first kart race was 1977. And then other names, Scott and Kim Carapaletti, Renato Jada David, Junaid Din for Orsalon Racing. Now, Junaid Din, I believe originally his family are from Pakistan, and so, yeah, one of the very... Ariel Castro, mad, crazy Argentine driver who is there. Miguel Mia, some fantastic names, all with, long histories in this sport, good stories to tell, and what they lack, still 17 drivers, is that all under, there's always, in Masters, there's always the occasion that might happen. The 477, Miguel Mia getting it all crossed up. They are focused. They do take this very seriously. However, they're not in the seat all the time. And sometimes it takes a session or two just to knock a little bit of race rust or, off them. But again, it's not just Orsalon Racing. There's, RPM, Rollerson, Nash, the Rocket Racing Company are in here as well. Kart Republic, Comp Kart. Now, ISUP Racing, Brandon Jarzakrak, AMV Factory team. So there are plenty of teams out there that run this division, that have equipment for this kart. Is that the Comp Kart entry. That's very unique. It's got the Italian livery on the front. It looks like half Super Tune, half Comp Kart. That's Paul Montopoli for the AMV factory team. It's a best kart. So he's got a Comp Kart race suit. That's a best kart. That's a new name to me. Is that best kart? Is that something that you're familiar with, Xander?
No, it's well, I am and I'm not. I haven't actually gotten to see one of them up close, but it's actually, yes, produced by the AMV products line.
Okay.
So of course that was for me the first introduction I had to them was their wheels used by the Kart Republic chassis,
Yes.
and they of course produce a lot of components. This is their first go at designing a full chassis.
Okay.
And the debut came at the Supernats, the first one that you called with us, Henry, back in 2024.
That's the one.
Or 2023.
Three,
23, yes. It's been three of us, 22, 23, 24. So in 2023, they debuted it. Then last year, they ran a handful of events through 2024, raced there again, and then in 2025 as well. And Paul Montopoli, he is the importer for the U.S. for AMV products. So he's, of course, the one that's helping spearhead this Best Kart development program. They had some good runs here in North Carolina a month ago. Paul was in the mix of the battle for the win in KA Masters. TJ Koyen, their development driver in KA Senior, was also very impressive and sporty. He hovered the top 15 out of a nearly 60 driver grid there. So
wow.
they've started to make some serious gains with that go-kart. And comparing to where they started, even at the end of last year at the Supernats, TJ failed to make the main event. Unfortunately, didn't make it out of the last chance qualifier. The speed just never quite materialized, but they went to work over the offseason. And even for Paul himself, between whatever work he's been doing on his own to, when he can, get behind the wheel and improve his driving, they have definitely gotten him running better. And there he goes, right up and into the top three. Third for Paul Montopoli behind Renato Yater-David. And, well, when you come to Trackhouse Motorplex, there's a guy who used to manage this place, who used to run it, and, of course, has been racing at it since its inception in 2011. Dusty Davis, former NASCAR Truck Series and ARCA driver, a long-time high-level karter. This is his first weekend in the KA Masters division for the U.S. Pro Kart Series. He's joining. I was giving him some grief for beating up on some of the old guys. But Dusty's like, look, man, I got a wife, I got a house, I got a business I'm running. Can't that be enough to count? So, and indeed, he was gracious enough to join, as you mentioned, the boys on Grid Talk. He is going to be the driver to beat, I think, all weekend. Already putting some more time on the gang here with 3.5 tenths now back to Renato Yater. And Yater's counterpart from Daytona, Martin Stone, right there across the line. Let's see where he goes. P3 for the 401.
Yeah, and Martin Stone, I say there's, I've seen an awful lot of familiar faces from the British karting paddock here. Dodge Gregory is here, obviously with Martin driving. It's a lot of people are coming over. A lot more people are saying that this is the place to be. And even for drivers young and old, as you're looking down at Miguel Meyer in sixth fastest time at the moment. I mean, I'm not going to say it's a battle for second, although the road to victory in KA Masters goes through Dusty Davis this weekend. I would have to say, it's great though that former Truck Series competitor, former ARCA Menard Series competitor. But yet, karting is still a viable option for him to come and race. And Ariel Castro has not gone out. Now, I did see Ariel this morning, but he's not out there at the moment, so hopefully everything is okay. And this is the class where you will see maybe a slightly larger gap between, first and the top of the front of the grid and the back of the grid. One driver, though, you shouldn't really sleep on, is the 403, Mundi Loya. Mundi, the Peruvian driver, spent the Rotax Winter Tour chasing Rubens Barrichello every single step of the way for a ticket to the Grand Finals. Narrowly missed out. But he proved that he can still go toe to toe.
Oh yeah,
with an F1 great. But he's ninth fastest at the moment. As we look at the RPM, there is Dusty Davis, the number 400 kart, just crossing the start-finish line, going through turn number 1. Now, I was speaking to an unnamed mechanic this morning, Xander, and those barriers at the exit of turn number 1, the mechanic said that they may not be in the same position come the end of Heat 1.
Maybe not.
Maybe not. The
Yes.
corner, in a nice way of saying it, the corner worker there is in for a busy morning.
Yeah, so that's something that they, again, talking about Trackhouse Motorplex, knowing how to run big events.
Yes.
They have done for their club races for quite some time now. They'll remove the barrier for the start of the race to give the drivers extra room.
Okay.
And then instead of the marshal down in turn 1 having to probably remove about 3 go-karts from the barrier before the carts come back around for lap number 2, he's just got to put that barrier back in place. There's painted marks on the concrete. You can't obviously see them from our cameras, but he knows exactly where to place them for the remainder of the session. There's enough time with a plus or minus 45 to 50 second lap time, as you can see, a 50.44 for Dusty Davis, where they have the ability to quickly get out there safely, push those barriers out, and then hop back into their flagging station or get into position, really, by the time the leaders come back around for lap number 2. But we're already closing into the end of our warm-up and our warm-up at Kart Chaser as well. This is the free coverage section of the morning. We've got X30 Pro on deck for what will be a lot to talk about in that warm-up session. So much going on with that class. But again, if you're watching along, this will take you over to the members-only live feed, $9.99 a month. Make sure you get that price by looking on an Android or PC device. Don't go on an iOS device. They will tack on some added fees. We don't see it. You don't need to pay it. $9.99, save yourself a couple bucks, and you get to watch all of the heats, all the mains live from the U.S. Pro Kart Series, and 60-plus live races here on Kart Chaser all year.
Especially if you are watching in the UK.
Yeah.
Why? Well, there's why. Because Air Force One Gus Lawrence has landed in the US. He is in a group of 1 in terms of British drivers in X30 Pro to have completed the British Triple Crown. He's a 3-time Motorsport UK kart champion, British kart champion. He has won the Kart Masters British Kart Grand Prix, the GP plate event, and he's also won the British Open Championship, the O plate. Those are the 3 big Triple Crown events in the UK. No other X30 Pro driver ever has won them all, apart from Gus Lawrence.
Well, he's one driver that everyone's chasing after that performance yesterday, including the driver we're riding on board with. Riding shotgun with Trinity Karting Group USA's Finnegan Bailiff, with our Jim Weed onboard camera that'll be debuting here this weekend. And for Finn, we appreciate him and Sean Bailiff at the TKG crew that'll be allowing us to ride shotgun. Let's go down to you, Caleb, on pit lane.
Thank you very much there, Xander. I was talking to Gus Lawrence earlier. I heard Henry go on about all his accolades, and talking to him here this weekend, he said this is a little bit different than what he's used to over in the UK. He said yesterday it was very hot, very humid, and he said that's the weather we get once a year in the UK, and that's almost normal here in Mooresville, North Carolina. Another thing that he mentioned, the racing is going to be a lot different. Says that over in the UK, it's going to be, over in the UK is a little more aggressive than he is here, so he's going to be learning as he's going. Heat race number 1, the starts, everything is going to be new for Gus Lawrence here today.
Thank you once again for all the intel down on pit lane, Caleb. We'll keep tabs on Finn throughout this session once again, but he's far from the only one worth talking about. Let's set the table here for this class.
Yeah.
This is unprecedented right now, what's happened and what Mark has pulled the trigger on for not only this event, but the remaining events on the U.S. Pro Kart Series 2025 calendar as well. Not only will this race see a massive purse. Round 3 in Road America up at Elkhart Lake, Wisconsin. A beautiful area, a beautiful venue to go to, but also the finale for the U.S. Pro Kart Series in August at Newcastle Motorsports Park. The Indiana State Grand Prix will as well see a 100% payback purse. What that means, every dollar out of these drivers' entry fees goes into the pot, and it is distributed out. The exact system is available on the U.S. Pro Kart Series website with their press release. So they are up to 27 drivers on the entry list. 26 so far have hit the timing loop this morning. All of their fees going into the pile, and that has brought a hefty number to race for. Something in the ballpark of, I believe, $6,700, nearly $7,000 to win, paying back to over $1,000, I believe, to sixth place.
And the prize fund goes up. Put simply, the more entries, the bigger the prize pot. So obviously, the more entries there are, then the more, the more money that goes, 100% goes back into the prize fund. It's why, well, part of the reason why you have got the likes of Frankie Mossman, Ryan Norberg, Jacob Kohler, Paulie Massimino, Zach Comandamello, Hayden Jones, Finnegan Bailiff, Austin Garrison, Caden McQueen, Gus Lawrence, Dalton Haynes, Colin Lloyd, Enzo Vidmontien, Santi Fernandez. This is like Costco shelf stacked. It's big.
It's big. There's a lot of big names here. Dalton Haynes, new colors for him this weekend. He and his brother Roman, they've got a slick-looking Haynes Motorsports kit. 2 drivers, just Dalton and one more for this week's event. They're hoping to have as many as 6 or 8 under their awning for the Miami Grand National Championship. Ahead of him, of course, Austin Garrison, Paulie Massimino, familiar faces, but returning as well, Matthews, North Carolina's own Hayden Jones, who has been very quiet, under the radar, nothing flashy, until the main event where he was, believe it or not. It takes us a minute to go back on our memory to the U.S. Pro Kart Series last stop here. The race winner in a great last lap battle when you go back a little ways on the history to 2023, I believe. Last year, of course, Joe Turney taking the top honors. But Hayden Jones, he's fast when we come here.
I mean, I've got to say, looking at Dalton Haynes' kart there, that black and sort of, real electric blue, the crash helmet, the race suit, that is a really smart-looking wagon. And I know that Dalton's brother Roman was helped get the. I mean, we're commentating out of the Kart Chaser outside broadcast unit. The fabled KCRV is now, and I know Roman helped a lot with that. My word of warning would be, they've got Dalton and they've got Kellen Spears this weekend. Is walk before you can run. The difference in running 2 go-karts and 6 go-karts is an awful lot, just in terms of logistics and making sure everybody is where they need to be at the right time. Because sometimes with these racing drivers, and it's like herding cats.
Yeah, no doubt. It's hopefully this morning, so far so good. It looks like everyone's been playing nice, and we have been seeing no crazy moves or crazy contact. You can see Finn Bailiff there on the Jim Wheat onboard, pulling into the pit lane early before this session comes to a close. At the moment, right now, he has slotted down the board to 15th, right smack dab in the middle. Austin Garrison joins him there, 15th for him, 16th now for Bailiff. Brooke Shambo, 17th. She qualified in the top 10, her best career qualifying effort in her rookie season in the Pro X30 class this year. But while Dalton held the top spot for a good bit in this session, the driver who's been quickest most of this weekend, Ryan Norberg, has gone quicker. Gus Lawrence took a bit to wake up as well. He's jumped up to the 4th spot in this warm-up session. But that's par for the course based on what we saw yesterday. Now, Henry, you mentioned, of course, Gus knows when it counts, when to turn it up. But in his interview, he was very open and honest. He said, it's not been easy. He's obviously coming into an arena with probably the most laps for his competitors in terms of the disadvantage of any other U.S. track to make his debut at. Austin Garrison and I were chatting about it Thursday evening, and he was like, there's nowhere tougher. We have raced here on this layout, on this package, on this tire.
And that's the key, the tire.
So much.
The tire. We don't run this tire anywhere else in Europe, in the UK. So, but hey, that's why, Gus will be brought in by RPG. This is used to, this is the pressure cooker. And of course, this is where the top drivers from anywhere in the world, they show what they're made of. I've got to say, though, out of all this, you've got to give Ryan Norberg his flowers, because he, and also to an extent, likes of Garrison and Massimino, they have been at the forefront of the US karting scene before the current boom. And yet, here they are. Here is Ryan Norberg, still, leading the way. he has taken, I mean, his own team bringing in hot shots from all over the place. It keeps Ryan, I mean, whether Ryan he likes it or not, it keeps him on his toes. It keeps him sharp. And every single time that you look up Norberg, he takes whatever you can throw at him and is still standing.
Yeah, he is one of the best for a reason, right? It's not just hype. He has proven it himself time and time again. And when the challenge arrives, he's the first one there to answer the call. And so are we. Heat racing time coming up next on the other side of this break, folks. We'll be exclusive to premium members here live for the heats for the rest of the day. Main events tomorrow for those joining us for the free coverage. We'll see you tomorrow morning. Appreciate you all joining us. Live from Trackhouse Motorplex, you're watching Kart Chasers coverage of the U.S. Pro Kart Series Carolina Grand Prix.
Hey, what's up, Caleb?
What's up, Brandon?
You sound defeated. Long day at the office?
Yeah, got stuck at a cat food marketing meeting for like 3 hours. I don't know a thing about cat food, and I don't even work in marketing. And then I got sent on a coffee run like I was some sort of intern. Then at the end of the day, when I want to go get gas, I just realized everything is so darn expensive nowadays, man.
Yeah, you got that right.
Like, do you have any idea how much we're spending on Netflix?
That's like $20 a month.
Do you know how much we're spending on cable?
That's like $50 a month.
But you know what isn't expensive?
Tell me.
Kart Chaser Premium. For only $9.99 a month, you can watch all the American karting action live from coast to coast. Subscribe and become a member today.
Paulie Massimino wins in KA. Paulie Massimino is a winner in OKN Stars.
Take your driving to the next level with one-on-one coaching from 2024 OKN Stars champion Paulie Massimino. Kart rental options are available if you'd like to keep yours at home, and drivers in all classes are welcome, from Briggs 206 to Mini to K100 and X30.